Something that I've been alluding to a lot during our training here together, our time here together, is the cascading effect of CSS. And I've been showing you sort of minor examples of this as we've been working our way along. And now finally I want to officially address this issue of the cascading effect of CSS. How I try and explain the cascading effect of CSS is I try to imagine a waterfall, or I use a waterfall as a metaphor. So how this works is CSS formatting that is closest to the actual HTML element itself, whether it's a heading 2 like Toronto, or a div, or a paragraph, or whatever it is, an image. The formatting that is closest to the HTML element takes priority. Okay, now I know that sounds kind of crazy, kind of weird. I want to give you a visual example of this. Okay, so I'm going to flip back over to my code. I'm inside layout.css, and this is the outermost formatting, if you will. Layout.css gets imported into styles.css. Styles.css pours into index.html, and that produces the result that gets rendered inside the browser, right? So layout.css is the furthest away from the content, the HTML elements inside index.html, okay? So what I'm going to do inside layout.css is I'm just going to give myself a little bit of extra space here. And I'm going to go and create a redefined paragraph element, or a redefined paragraph tag. And I'm going to throw in a very simple property that we've seen a number of times, color. I know, very complicated, right? I want to keep the example really simple so that you get the concept of this cascading effect. So I go paragraph and then color red. That's all I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and save layout.css. I'm going to go back to my browser here and refresh. And now all of my paragraphs appear in red. So in other words, this instruction is cascading its way all the way through layout.css, all the way through styles.css to wind up actually getting applied to the paragraphs that we see inside index.html. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to interrupt this instruction. I'm going to force the paragraphs to change color. Okay, so I'm going to interrupt the cascading flow, if you will. How am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to go to the next level in, which is styles.css. And let's see, I'm going to go and find my redefined paragraph. There he is, right there. Paragraph, and then text align, and on and on and on. After the font family, after that font list that we created there, I'm going to drop my cursor in. And any guesses? Color, :space. And this time I'm going to say blue. I'm going to save that up. I'm going to flip back over to my browser. Now, my question for you is, will the paragraphs appear in red or will they appear in blue? Before I refresh my browser, let me ask you this. Which instance of the blue instruction there, the property, is closer to the actual content inside index.html? Don't forget, layout pours into styles.css, gets imported into styles.css. Styles.css gets poured into index.html. So in other words, the instruction, color blue, is physically closer inside styles.css than red. Red is further away, right? So I go back to my browser, I refresh, voila, blue text. Are you following? The instruction for the blue color is physically closer to the paragraph element. I know I'm saying that over and over again, but I really want to make sure that this hits home. So I've interrupted that instruction, color red, with a new instruction. But what happens now if I go and interrupt that again? I'm going to throw myself into index.html. I'm going to scroll all the way up into the head area, and I still have my internal style sheet. There's nothing in it, not yet anyway, but I'm going to go P, squiggly brackets, and I'm going to go color, and I'll go green this time. Now, once again, I ask you, what are we going to get inside the browser? Which instruction, which color property is physically closer to the paragraphs? Well, obviously the green one is because it's in the same file, right? It's physically closer than the red one all the way out in layout.css, or the blue one inside styles.css. So I save everything up, I flip back over to my browser, refresh. Now we have green, okay? Now we can go one more level. I can take this one step further. I'm going to scroll down into my code. I'm going to look for the first paragraph inside my document, and I'm going to throw in some inline formatting. I'm going to say style equals, open quote, color, full colon space, orange, semicolon, close quote. So now my question for you is, what color is the first paragraph going to be? Is it going to be red, blue, green, or orange? Which color instruction is physically closer to the paragraph? Orange. It's right there. So go ahead and save up your code, refresh, and there we go. Now we have an orange paragraph. The first paragraph is now orange. So this is a simple example of the cascading effect of CSS, okay? I'll show you something kind of crazy, kind of wacky in the next exercise.